Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. It is indeed very funny when people speak about you and you're in the room. Full name is Siba Mtongana, born Mtongana in the Eastern Cape. Grew up in a township called Mtongana. Now most people don't know Mtongana, but it's she's from this. She knows it. And they say it's the second biggest township from Soweto. So that's how big it is. Grew up in a very big family, very staunch. Parents were very strict to us, very Christian. A Christian family, born again. I still am. I have. It's so funny when you said you have memories with your grandmother, having spent time in the garden with her. I have fond memories with my mother, who used to grow her own vegetables. Now, growing vegetables at this time and age is fashion, but at that time it was normal. So she grew her own vegetables when it was absolutely normal to do so. Literally, almost everybody next door to us and in the entire neighborhood, we grew our own vegetables. So I have such lovely memories with food as I was growing up. Now, this is the question that I'm often asked. And in fact, today, they didn't ask me to talk much about food, Mapaseka. I know, but I always talk about food, so you can catch me on channel 175. They asked me to speak more about Siba. Where does she come from? Why the choice of food? I'm in an international platform, in a local platform. How did I come to where I am today? And I'm going to share with you very briefly my background and my story, and I'm hoping that with that you will be inspired in many ways than one. And you guys are academics, so I hope it will uplift you even further. Now, when I was young, I've always known, I thought I was going to be a politician, because I always do this when I talk. I've always known. Just had that inside thing in me that says, I'm going to be great one day. I don't know where it came from. Maybe it was my mother, or maybe it was our father, because they really spent time with us, affirming us, giving us confidence. And you know, if we did anything wrong, I used to be a model, and I would just walk just like that. Dad would say to me, yes, my girl, you look nice. And I would go like, yes, my girl. I'll do it many times until Mama goes like, yes, you do, now please go do something else. You know, they really affirmed us. They made sure that we were loved and that we were well taken care of. Now, there were many things that I wanted to do, and if you come from a township, in fact, education is one of the biggest things that your parents could ever give you, and specifically mine, because my mom was a teacher. And I wanted to be a doctor. I really wanted to be a doctor because my parents were always all about helping people and serving others and all of that. So I really thought I was going to be a doctor. At some point, I thought I was going to be a teacher because teaching is just naturally in me, and I think it was given from me from my mother through her breast when I was breastfeeding when I was a baby. I think it's just something that's in me. So I thought I was going to be a teacher. At some point, then I grew up and I could understand politics. I thought I was going to be the first female president in South Africa. Now imagine this. Viva Simalicious. Anyway, so that moved on, and then I learned, no. Politics are so dirty, so I'd much rather do something else. And at the time, there was Mother Teresa, so I thought I'll be a saint and be Mother Teresa, and just, I love kids. I'll just help kids and just dedicate my life to the Lord, and then that's it. And then came my love for food. I loved medicine science and physical science at school, but I really loved home economics. And I actually had home economics as a side subject, not as a main subject, simply because it was never seen as something that I could take further. So it was more like something I just like in J. As Mama would tell you, maths and science, Mtongana, will give you options. Mtongana means my daughter. Maths and science will give you options. You can do biology just in case you want something else. But those three are the main ones. So I never in my life thought I would end up in the food industry. But I really struggled when I was doing career guidance. And you must remember the schools we come from, we didn't really have infrastructure where you are given a lot of knowledge. May I have some water, please? A lot of knowledge where you get proper career guidance. So I checked this, the doctor himself. Thank you so much. So, we didn't really get proper career guidance, and I checked this and I checked that and I checked all these things, but there was something that my dad used to tell us, and one of the things was Mtongana. Now I'm teaching you a few words in Finnish. Mtongana means my daughter, my child. You must do something that you love, because if you do that, you'll never feel like you're working. So I thought, what do I love doing? I counted everything that I love. I love maths, I love science, I love this, but food just came naturally for me. It just, I would make my own soup mix at the age of 8. I used to make them. I would read the ingredient list, and I hated the premix soup mix because they really took over the flavor. I would saute onions and garlic and everything, and just at the end when you add it, you want it to thicken, and it just takes over. It takes over the entire flavor profile. So I would actually look at the back and see what was in it, and I would make my own soup mix. So I was so experimental in the kitchen, and I used to ask my mother so many questions when it came to food. And Mama would sometimes just be like, oh, this child asks too many questions. And she's like, Mama, how much salt did you add? How do you know this? How do you know that? And Mama would just say, you learn when you're older. No, but how do you learn when you're older? How do you learn when you're older? And then she'll explain certain things and all of that. But food has always been in me. Now came the time, making a decision and telling my mom that I'm going to do food as a career. She stamped her hand down. I would break this if I were to narrate her. And she said, no ways. Food it's something like a gap year. You can take a gap year and do food. When you're undecided, it's fine. Take a gap year. Other kids au pair, but you can't go overseas. You can't go overseas, but you can take food as a gap year. But, what is this food business? Means no. She's so expressive. She didn't want me to do this food thing. She didn't understand it.
And sometimes it feels like it's right up on me.
There was nobody that I could say, Mama, look at her.
I can just feel
it. She did it, and she's successful. And all she thought, this is the real life story. She thought I was going to work for a white lady all my life. So she said to me, I have worked so hard to get you girls out of the kitchen. Now you voluntarily want to go in? So I said, Mama, there's options. So my sister and I literally went into research mode. We went to search every course there was, because I knew I could never do it because I loved it, because I needed to be a proper foundation, which was nothing less than a degree in my mother's eye. If you don't have a degree, it's like, to her at least. Anyway, so we searched so many courses. We searched where I was going to do hospitality. Just at the brink of choosing that, we came up with a course which was very, very similar to my style in terms of what I would like to do perhaps in future. Even not sure, even at the time I wasn't fully sure. So, but this course had science in it, and I thought, yes, that's for Mama. Food and consumer sciences. Perfect. You can go to media studies, you learn about food science, the engineering of food, you can be a chef, but knowing the background of food and all of that. So I'm like, Sissy, that is the one. That's the one we went for. fine. So to fast track my life slightly, so Mama gave me just 1 year. Now, I worked so hard that year. Worked so hard, and I made an internal prayer to say that, Lord, I just need financial assistance because I come from a family of 6 and I'm the last born. And at the time, my mom had just gotten the 2 of us, my 2 older siblings, out of varsity, and it was me and my other sibling. So the financial pressure was just too much. So I was like, if I could just have a bursary, a scholarship, I'll work part-time, but this is what I want. I got a job, I work part-time, because I believe in excellence, and I believe that, yes, excuse this. I believe in excellence, and I believe in being the best in everything that I do. So anyway, so I worked so hard that year. They used to call me a bookworm at varsity. I went to CPUT down in Cape Town. They used to call me a bookworm, but you know what? It was never a problem. In fact, I saw it as a compliment, because if I am a bookworm, which means I know where I'm going. I have a direction, I have a purpose. Eventually, I got chosen by the Department of Agriculture to get a full sponsorship for my 2nd year going forward. I couldn't be happier. So I called my mother. In fact, this is what happened. So we were gathered, mostly girls in class, and then my lecturer picked 5 of us. And then the first thing that came out of my mouth, I said, "Thank you, Jesus," because I had made an internal prayer. And then my lecturer said, "Excuse me, madam, it's not Jesus who chose you, it's me." So I'm like, "Ma'am, yeah, you're right, yes." But I'm like, she's not gonna understand this, so let's just leave it here, you know. And then so I got full sponsorship from my 2nd year onwards. I didn't have to work anymore. They paid me to study. Say what, Mama? I can give you some money. I can buy you something nice. So I didn't have to depend on my parents for my studies, which was great. And I didn't have to work that hard, but I carried on working anyway as a part-time job, which was great. Fast forwarding forward. One of the things that I love doing is to help people. It's just in me, it's in my mother. And at first, when I was young, I hated it. I hated the fact that someone will come in a house and I don't know these people and I have to share my bed. It's like, Mama, who's this? You know, it's your cousin, you know, your uncle, that one, that cousin, they need a job in East London. And I'm like, but Mama, Isuga means, I don't know how it works. I can't explain that, sorry. I'm like, no, Mama, no. And you know, it was just in her to give and open her house to so many people, and I hated it. But it's so funny that I do exactly the same thing now. Anyway, so my mother, so where was I? Are you listening? Yeah. You are. Okay. So, okay, I'm going to cut the long story short. Now, I got the bursary from the Department of Agriculture, and I really worked hard, which was, continued working hard. I then offered my time. This is where I was, yes. I offered my time to help other students, specifically at the university, because there were young students, black students specifically, who were struggling with the language, English. So they were failing specifically the 2 main courses, food science and nutrition, simply because they struggled first with the language and could not keep up with the subject itself. So my job was to teach them in my language, and then by doing so, I would help them improve their marks. And apparently I did this so well, because my lecturers, after that, created a job for me at the university where I interned as an assistant lecturer. So I never went to industry, I stayed in as their assistant. But this is the thing that frustrated me with that job, is that, students are lazy. No. Students are lazy. Like, I was like, you know, it's like, guys, you are 33%, now we are 40%. Now let's go to 50%, because in fact, you're supposed to be there and no less. according to my standards anyway, no less minimum. So we'd go to 50% and then they'll get 59. I'm like 60, 60, 60, we can do it. And then they're like, no, Siba, but look at us, we're from 33 and now we're 59. Why this is enough? And I'm like, guys, we can do it. I just felt like, oh, hey, this is too tiring. I can't push more than I can. And besides, at this point, I think I was feeling at the same time that I needed to spread my wings, go outside of industry and just experience life outside that. You know what's the funniest thing that has ever happened to me that year? I couldn't find a job. 9 months, top student. I could not find a proper job, and I refused to go back in the kitchens because I was more qualified. I was not just a chef who's going to sweat it out in the kitchen. I'm more qualified. I am an academic. I'm supposed to be, I know what position I'm supposed to be in. Hey, at first it was that, and then later on, I was like, okay, let's just get anything. And you know what's funny? I refused a job to be a lecturer because I wanted to fly out, which was silly. So I tell youngsters, always make sure that you have backup before you move on to the next one. So anyway, I have a very long story to tell, but I'm gonna try to make it short. Anyway, I didn't have a job, and I always feel like universities don't teach students enough to be entrepreneurial. My brother, who did IT, was without job for 5 years. It broke my parents' heart. 5 full years in IT, he did not get a job, and there was no support from government for youngsters. At least if there was, it was not known to us. What do we do with unemployment in the country? I really feel that universities need to really jack up entrepreneurial with every course, because there are just too many of us, too many of us to all be employees. There needs to be Sibas. There needs to be people who are going to employ others and create opportunities. Instead of us all going for a job, that job business, it's fine for experience, but after some time, one needs to stand up on their own 2 feet and just fight against the current until they come up, which is what I did. Anyway, I finally went to my lecturers in despair that I was so embarrassed. You know that moment, that embarrassing moment, that student who never did well, ne? You know that one, you did far better than her. She sees you in a boutique store and you are just a sales assistant and you feel like, where are the clothes? Where can I hide? Where can I hide myself? And she's like, hey Siba, where do you work? And you know that ad? You start looking around and need things. I'm like, oh, I'm just shopping. I work at, there's an ad that says, she sees a cabbage, she says, I work at cabbage. Cabbage. I felt like that at that moment. I was so embarrassed because I was a top student, top achiever, and here I am, I'm not in industry. And in this industry, fashion industry, they offered me, I turned down that job managerial position 4 times, simply because I saw it as a distraction. I didn't want to go into fashion. I don't have passion for fashion. It's not something that's naturally in me. This is what I studied, so which means I would have lost out 4 years of my life doing this if I didn't pursue it any further. And for me, that was a distraction. Anyway, went back to my lecturers. I'm not afraid to ask for help when needed, and I hope you are all not afraid to ask for help when needed, because sometimes you just need a little bit of a connection between one place and the other. And my lecturers, in fact, had been looking for me, and I had lost my phone at the time, and they said to me, Sebs, where have you been? We've been trying to call you, we've been trying to do this and that. And they we finally got hold of you because Drum Magazine is coming to Cape Town from Joburg, and they're looking for a youngster who could do something amazing and take over the pages. And then I was like, and ma'am, you thought of me. Yo, tears started running down at that moment, because it's like, oh, should I not have come? I would have missed out on this opportunity. So the importance, and I think this is the honest truth, it's not that I was afraid to go back. I was proud to go back. So I was very proud because I felt like I had failed at that time. I felt like I was a failure. Anyway, before I cry. Anyway, moving forward, so I went to drum. It was a very hectic meeting. It was three times we had to go into interviews that were very intimidating. But you know how life sometimes works. Where I was an assistant manager, and I was now going to be a production manager and a food editor. So things were just so easy. And I've got the background of food. Things just flowed for me, and they gave me the position. And drum was amazing, and I think I would have stayed in drum magazine forever. But there were times at drum magazine where I felt like I'm being suffocated, in a sense that I'm young, I have so much energy, I can do this. Give me the opportunity to do my job. To do and not just be. I don't want to just be the face, because at that time I felt like I was just being a face and not necessarily doing the actual job. And someone was doing it for me, and I'm like, but I'm the food editor. I'm the food editor, but why are you doing this? So I had to be proactive and bold and brave and say, listen, if you're going to give me the title and not give me the work, then I think I must go find another one, because it's something. It's not sitting well with me not to do what I'm employed to do, and I really want to give skills and I want to impart. Besides, drum, I grew up with it. I know it. Drum, we've got stacks like this in my house. I read it since I was young, so I know what to do with it. So I was proactive. It was quite intimidating to even do that at the time, because you don't know how people will perceive you when you say such things, but it was my reality at the time. And it's like, Siba, we didn't even realize, yes, do whatever that you want, fine. So I did whatever I wanted. I had pages, I revamped my pages, did this and that and that and that. And it was through that I got my very first show, called Cooking with Siba. It was aired on Zanzi Magic, and I was cooking with local celebrities. And all I wanted was to cook with local celebrities, because I know, Mapaseka, we know you. Oh yeah, we love our local celebrities. And if I have a local celebrity I had a husband. If I had a local celebrity in my pages, then I will gain a lot of people that will bring a lot of attraction to my pages. And it did, because that's how Cooking with Siba was born. But it started on print, and when the time of magazines, when magazines were dying, and everyone was like, digital is taking over, oh, we're gonna have no jobs, people are not gonna read books anymore, people are not gonna read magazines. Well, they do still now. Yes, I have a book. That was years ago. So, but people still read books, which is great. But anyway, it gave me an opportunity to go into television. Then my pages grew so much just by being proactive with my superiors at the time, and telling them that I want to do something that will express the newness and the freshness that I bring, and they allowed me. And then it allowed me to have a cooking show called Cooking with Siba. Now, Cooking with Siba was sold to the was sold to the UK, to the Middle East, still is there, and the Caribbean. And this is the Food Network story, and I'm going to make a da-da-da-da moment, because it was what I call divine moments. Anyway, I was working very hard in the office, no kids at the time. Did I tell you I'm a mother? Yes. Did I? No? It's not one anymore, it's 3. Yes. I've got a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 5-month-old baby girl. Yes. And I love them to bits. So no kids at the time, no husband, so my husband was my job then. Totally enjoyed it. I got a call, it was very late. London is 2 hours ahead of us. Behind us, sorry. So I got a call from London, and you know when you're in the office and you've been working very hard, suddenly your voice becomes hoarse as if you've just woken up. So I'm like, hello. And then an English voice came. Hi, is that Siba? Okay, +44. First, I didn't want to take +44 because I've never had a number from a +44. And at the time, there were lots of Nigerian scams going on. So I thought, if I answer this, maybe it will deduct my money. I didn't understand internet properly enough at the time. Anyway, that was what was happening then. So I was like, +44, must I take it, must I not? Must I take it? I'm like, okay, let's try it. So I took it. And hello, is that Siba? And I said, hello, ne? And then I'm like, hi, this is Siba. Let's fix the voice. This is Siba. And then she said to me, Siba, we have come to Cape Town and we have scouted about 400 chefs, inclusive in that, foodies, just people who are in the food space and those who love food, but we never met you. And we were just flipping through our channels and we saw you and we thought, we haven't seen this girl. Do you happen to be available next week for us to come to see you? I asked them, so where are you now? We're in London. So I was like, they're gonna come all the way from London to come see me. So now this is what my mother taught me. Never be too desperate. But be keen enough not to lose the opportunity. So I was like, let me quickly check my diary. So I went, so, and then I came back and I said, yes, next week would be good. So where would you like to meet? And then they said, we'll meet at the one and only. They came, I couldn't believe it. So I didn't tell anyone. So I was very happy. We dance when you're happy. I was so happy. But at the same time, internally, the fears came back of, you cannot celebrate before you sign. Remember, in the past, I had not given away my lecturing position because I wanted to experience the world and I didn't get a job. So those fears came back. And they said to me, so I was like, what do I do? And they wanted me specifically to resign at Drum and sign a new contract. And when we went into contract, it was very extensive. And they actually advised me to have a lawyer, an entertainment lawyer, who deals with contracts. So I was quite afraid of, I've already resigned again. Did I make the same mistake? And all of that. But it was, it was just so amazing. They were so lovely. They're like, Siba, whatever it is that you want. I was like, what is this? And at the time I was pregnant, like, are you fine? I'm pregnant. Like, are we going to wait for, will you wait for me? Because it's my first pregnancy and I want to enjoy it. And they said to me, yes, we'll give you time. Then I thought, okay, now these people are playing at my music, so I might as well just dance. Ask a little bit more, So I asked a bit more. They're like, no, that's fine. Ask a bit more. I'm like, I could stop now. Yeah, you're fine. So, that's how Siba's table was when I was headhunted by the Food Network. And all it is, like, I look at it now, the show is in Africa, in the Middle East, in Europe, in America. It is to over 60 million homes, which is about, they estimate 300 million people per episode. And then it went to Asia, and then after that, it went to Australia. So I was with George last week in fact, Cape Town. He's like, Siba, with his Australian accent. I still can't get the Australian accent right. He's like, Siba, we've watched you that side. And for me, you know how much I love George, guys. Like, Columbus. Do you know him? From MasterChef Australia. That guy, he knows my show. He watches it in Australia. It was so, and I've never been to Australia. Even more. So all it is, it was just that one push, that one nudge, that one calling that once upon a time I had when I was young. And I had to make a decision if whether food is going to be a thing that I take with me or not. And I'm so happy I went against my mom. She understands now. She's very happy for me. But I went against the grain. I went against the grain with many things. And sometimes when I had to stand up to certain things, I was very unpopular. Specifically, in corporate, often you find that there's something wrong happening within the company, and you all, it's like, let's talk with this, let's have this fixed. But by the time you get there, you are all by yourself. That happens quite a lot. But I've always been so strong. And you know what's funny? They remunerate you more and they say, don't tell them. By the way. Just saying. So they gave me so much money, but they said I mustn't tell them. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna tell them. But I thought maybe they said the same thing to them. But anyway, those are corporate stuff. We all know that. But you know what it is? I love the fact that I'm brave enough to know what it is that I want. I'm brave enough to make my own decisions, even if it means that I'm going against the current. I am brave enough to say that, you may not understand now, but I need to do this now. And one thing that I really like, I always push women to be, because we are mothers, we are incubators, we are mood makers. Mama would always tell you, Siba, once you get married, you must come to a point where you are not a mood person, because you are the mood maker in your house. Think about it this way. If your husband is upset, does anyone take notice? Mm-mm. No. But when the mother is upset, everyone will know that something is wrong. So that's what we carry. We carry such influence. And I channel that. Now that I've got such a big platform, I want to do good and I want to give back. And one of the things that I do is to help youngsters and to help others who are still coming, to show them that, guys, excellence. Don't cut corners. There is, a way to success, and that is that. And I really believe in working hard. Now, this is the second thing I believe in. As much as I believe in working hard, and I really work hard, I have had miraculous breaks. Things, when I go to Russia, do you know they have to order me a bodyguard? By the way, just saying. And it's like, Russia, of all places, Russia, Poland, they order me a bodyguard. It's just too funny. And that's not hard work. I don't think that supersedes hard work. And that is what I call a divine power. I'm a firm believer. I am a prayer. And I'm the one who asks him. This is what I say to him. Lord, I will do my absolute best, my very best, and you will do the rest for me. You will open the doors, you will open the opportunities, you will make things just smooth, because I've done my part. Now I'm asking you to do your part. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Siba Mtongana in a very small nutshell. Thank you very much. Now, I've just been put to order by my brand manager, the book. Now, we decided to self-publish my cookbook. It's called My Table, due to popular demand. And at first, I really wanted to work with a publisher for various reasons, because I didn't have to incur so many costs and spend so much time in it. But I found that it was far better for me to do it myself, because I come from publishing and I know what it is exactly that I wanted, specifically because this was my first one. The cookbook, for instance, we have what is called QR codes. QR codes is like a rectangle, square, scan, almost like SnapScan, where you can download a QR code reader on your smartphone, and when you put your phone with that QR code reader, guess who pops up and shows you how to make that recipe? It is Siba. So we wanted something that is engaging and something that is just revolutionary in terms of combining the thing that my first love, which is print, and what I'm currently doing, which is television. And besides that, we have spent so much money and love on that cookbook to make sure that it was international standard. And when it got sold out at Woolworths, South Africa, I mean, Woolworths is giant retail. Like when you shop at Woolworths, you must know. When you shop there, you must know. Anyway, especially for food. So they said to me, Siba, they were so excited, your cookbook is the best-selling cookbook in the history of Woolworths. It's small things like that sometimes where everybody told me, don't do it yourself, you lose money. We're not a cookbook nation. With the small reading people who in the country. So I said, I know I've got so many followers in South Africa, in Africa, in Russia, and elsewhere. So I'd much rather own my own book and then license it to people, and therefore I'll make more money, because fame without money or working without money is no fun. So you need the money, because the money is what keeps us going. It needs to be balanced and it needs to be fair. So, happy? Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for inviting me and for me to share my story with you.
The University of Johannesburg. Rethink, reinvent.